All right, hey everyone. Today's Wednesday, so it's our natural live stream day. I'm gonna try and make this quick a little bit. My wife's sick right now; she's throwing up, so I'm gonna try and keep this as fast as possible for you guys. We'll try and get through everything that we do have here. We got CORZ, Terawulf, Hut 8, Bit Digital, Hive, as well as Iren, not Irish Energy, Iren, to go over. So we'll try to get through this, excuse me, as fast as we can, so then I can go to the store for my wife, get some medicine. Okay, but I promised you guys we would do this, so we're doing it, and we'll get through this. So. Where am I at here? Losing my mind here. Okay. Not financial advice as always for entertainment only. Please do your own research. And I'm invested following coins and companies for full disclosure. If you enjoy this type of content, a like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. Corrections will be posted obviously to Discord, which is through Patreon, and then YouTube community posts and Twitter as well. Hopefully we don't make any mistakes today. And let's get into what we got going on here. So if we look at Bitcoin, obviously Bitcoin had a pretty good day today. It bounced today, as did the miners here. So it turned out to be pretty good overall for the day. Cypher, on the other hand, had a fantastic day today. Okay, so Bitcoin today was up approximately 3.64%. It closed at 66,122. That was good. We're kind of we're kind of no man's land right now as far as which way we want to go on Bitcoin on the new day. We're up a little bit here at 0.09%. We're up $56, $63, somewhere around there. So not much going on there, but the miners for the most part had a pretty good day today. We had a couple that were up quite nicely here. We had Cypher up 27% on the day. Right, they reported the earnings yesterday. That obviously has helped the stock out, and it's done a fantastic job today. Cleanspark was up 8% as well. Who else was up quite nicely today? Iris Energy was up 6%. And then we got Wolf up 8% as well. So for the most part, it was a pretty good day on the miners, all things considered, right? So we'll see how this continues going forward. I saw an article just like maybe an hour ago, 2 hours ago, about the next leg up is probably going to be like to 76,000 on Bitcoin, which wouldn't be too bad. It'd actually be pretty good. Would get us above the previous all-time high here that we've had. And my internet is running pretty slow today. Okay, there we go. So 76,000 would be like an 18% increase or something like that in the next couple of weeks. So that would be great to see as well. And we'll see how things progress. Okay, but that's it for Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners. Let's take a look at the news that we do have here. We'll try to get through this relatively quickly here. So first one is going to be on CORZ Scientific. They are to provide CoreWeave with up to 16 megawatts of data center infrastructure to support AI and HPC workloads in long-term hosting contract with potential revenue of more than 100 million. This is great news. Obviously, we'll see what the profit margins on this. We haven't seen much as far as AI profit margins yet, right? We are waiting for Bit Digital to report some numbers as well, potentially on that. Some others, Iris Energy is getting into that. Is getting into that as well. Force a habit with them. But here's what we have on CORZ. So CORZ today announced a multi-year contract for CORZ Scientific to supply up to 16 megawatts of data center infrastructure to CoreWeave. The total potential revenue associated with the contract is more than 100 million. So that's fantastic there. Obviously, if the profit margins are there, that's going to be good. If the profit margins are going to be, even if they're at 15%, I think that would be pretty good. But we'll see what the profit margins are like. Under the terms of the contract, CORZ Scientific will deliver up to 16 megawatts of capacity at its new Austin, Texas data center to host CoreWeave's infrastructure. CORZ Scientific is leasing a Tier 3 data center in Austin that formerly housed Hewlett-Packard to expand its hosting business to include HPC. So that's actually pretty exciting there. Tier 3 data centers are pretty expensive, and they're leasing it there. I wonder what the lease is like on it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in here. Nothing. So this is good news, right? We're seeing more and more good news coming from CORZ. After they got out of bankruptcy here, they're installing more miners. They're doing all the right things. So this is definitely exciting to see that this is happening. And we'll see how they continue going forward, right? Right now, we're just waiting kind of on their quarterly results, things like that, see how they have done after getting out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Obviously, we won't get that data until possibly, I'm guessing maybe May sometime, right? Because you have the first quarter being January, February, March. And then it usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get the data out from that, and those are usually unaudited. So we have a little ways to go, but I think CORZ has been doing much better lately, and I think that definitely shows it. We obviously saw also yesterday that more institutions are buying into them, which is also a good sign there. So a lot of good stuff happening for CORZ here. Okay, next here, Terawulf announces preliminary full year 2023 financial highlights and provides 2024 guidance. I'm not going to go through this right now. I'm waiting for the 10K filing to happen. Once that comes in, I'll update all my numbers for them, and we'll look at some stuff at that point. But some things that I wanted to point out here while I was reading it, they reported some numbers here. So we're talking about the following financial guidance reflects the company's expectations for the fiscal year 2024 and is provided on a non-GAAP basis. So they're looking at 2024 pre-halving, right, where the network hash rate is 575 exahash. Post-halving, they're guessing it's going to drop a little bit here to 520. I think it might drop even more than that, but it's going to be short-lived. We're going to have maybe 2 months, 3 months at the most with low hash rate, and then it's going to start coming back up, obviously. But it all depends where Bitcoin price goes. If Bitcoin price goes to 76,000 before the halving or something like that, or 80,000, well, at that point, everybody's going to be pretty much still profitable, even in the older miners. So we may not even get a dip in the hash rate at that time. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. They're also equating about 10% in transaction fees being added to it post-halving. And they're looking at basically the next, I'm guessing this is like the next 6 months out after the halving, or actually 8 months after the halving, right? So here's pre-halving right here numbers. They're saying that they are right now, total cost per Bitcoin is 25,000. That includes interest expenses for the period, other OPEX for the period, SG&A as well for the period, and then power cost. And their combined total is coming up to 25. That seems kind of low, but we'll take a look at the numbers when they report. Going forward, post-halving, if they're looking at only 520 exahash on the network for the whole 8 months, that's going to be incorrect. So there's need to be some assumptions made into that where you're actually looking into how much can the hash rate grow potentially each month, where it's going to be at the end of the year. I'm thinking probably closer to about 800, maybe 850, somewhere around there. We may even go past that, depending how much Bitcoin goes up. But that's kind of what I'm looking at here. So these numbers, do not take too much weight into these numbers here, because that's just based on a static 520 exahash looks like right now. Okay, I haven't seen anything else to point me to believe it's other than that. Okay, so 36,000 after the halving would be very, very low. Okay, based on what I'm seeing at least right now. All right, so that's it. Just want to point that out. And I think there was something else. There is. Yep. Debt repayment and liquidity. This is actually really good news for them. So following significant debt repayments totaling 21.4 million related to 2023 quarterly excess cash flow sweep payments and an 18.6 million voluntary prepayment in February 2024, Terawulf's total debt balance was approximately 106 million as of the end of February. The company anticipates an additional repayment of approximately 30 million during the first week of April, thereby reducing the debt balance to 76 million. So that's actually really good. And then after the expected April debt repayment and based on current Bitcoin price levels, the company anticipates having approximately 20 million in excess liquidity to navigate the upcoming halving. This projected cash reserve can be allocated towards additional debt reduction, potentially lowering the debt balance to 56 million. Excuse me, and excluding any excess cash flow sweep payments for in Q2 through Q4 2024. So that would actually be pretty good. They would have a much better chance at that point restructuring the debt or even paying it off with if they wanted to dilute shares and do that at that time, which wouldn't be too bad either, right? Get rid of that debt. I think you want to be pretty much as debt-free as you can being in the halving or after the halving, especially with supply being cut in half in Bitcoin from 6.25 per block reward to 3.125, okay? So this is good news there. But like I said, on this part, don't take too much into this or don't take too much weight into this, okay? So that's it for Terawulf. Hut 8. So Hut 8 streamlines operations with closure of Drumheller's site. They've had issues at Drumheller's site since, gosh, I don't know, since for the past year and a half, I think they've had issues there. But here's what they stated today. They announced the closure of Drumheller's site in Alberta, Canada, in line with ongoing restructuring and optimization initiatives designed to strengthen financial performance. The company is executing several strategic measures at the site. Effectively, immediately, Drumheller will cease to operate as a Bitcoin mining site. Efficient miners will be relocated to the Medicine Hat site in Alberta, and old and inefficient miners will be retired from the operations. Hut 8 will maintain its lease at the site and the option value of re-energizing the site if market conditions improve. Okay, here's what we have for them as far as as far as what we know. Possibly, I don't know exactly what was there because we didn't track it by site. But if we look at, not Hive, Hut 8. Sorry, Hut 8 here. If we look at them here and the machines that they had here, you can see that they had some of the older machines here, like 77 terahash, 87, 96, 89, 90. Then they had a bunch of 93s, some 91 terahash, 84. I'm guessing some of these older machines here that they've had for quite a while, possibly these from 2020. Those are the ones that they're probably going to get rid of, move out if they need to, something like that. And then they'll keep the rest that are still operational and still operating, actually. Okay, but here's what they provide. So following a comprehensive analysis, we have determined that the profitability of Drumheller has been impacted significantly by various factors, including elevated energy costs and underlying voltage issues. Right? We've known the issue with the underlying voltage for a long time. Energy costs, obviously, would be nice to know what that cost is now in comparison. right? Is it 7 cents? Is it 8 cents? Is it 10 cents? That would definitely help us, the analysts here in this community here, figure out what they could be doing with those things potentially. And are they doing the right things? But right now, I think they're doing the right things. And then that was quoted by Asher Ganut. And then continuing on here, our restructuring plan aims to drive maximum value for our assets and position the company for profitable growth. With the nominal lease expense, we will also have a low-cost option to re-energize the site if energy rates in the AESO grid decrease or hash price increases. Okay, so they do have that option there, and I'm surprised that they can't get like a PPA there or something better with the electricity costs, especially since they're a large user of electricity, right? But I don't know what the arrangements are there. They have access to that. We don't have access to that. So this is obviously the best thing that they can possibly do right now. The site's most efficient miners, representing approximately 130 petahash of hash rate, will be moved to Medicine Hat and energized in March to leverage the site's superior infrastructure and economics. Miners at Drumheller with efficiency worse than 38 joules per terahash will be retired from operations. The relocation of efficient miners and retirement of inefficient miners is expected to enhance Hut 8's cash flow, reduces cost to mine a Bitcoin, and drive a pro forma increase in Bitcoin mined per exahash of approximately 11%. So here's kind of the breakdown of what they're looking at here. This is the actual as of February 2024. So you got 7.24 exahash roughly. After this change, they're going to have 6.45. Bitcoin mined 292 down to 288. But they are going to be getting more efficient here, 44.65 BTC per exahash efficiency if they can operate pretty much at full capacity. And then before they were at 40.3, but like to see what their joules per terahash efficiency would be at that point after it. That's it. So good. In a sense, this is good, right? I agree with them doing this. If they got issues, high electricity cost, everything else, this is the right thing to do. And potentially see if you can, restructure I don't know if you can restructure the electricity contract or something like that, but see if you can do something like that and put in some newer miners. That's what I would do at least. Okay, but nonetheless, good news here. Next, BitDigital announces monthly production updates for February 2024. In February, they produced 128.7 BTC, an increase of 11.7%. Decrease compared to the prior month. The company active hash rate was approximately 2.73 exahash as of February. Treasury holdings of BTC was 847. Ethereum was 15,593. And then the company had cash and cash equivalents of 34.3 million, which is good. And then AI update, As of February 29th, the company had 251 servers actively generating revenue from its initial BitDigital AI contract. The company earned an estimated $4 million of unaudited revenue from this contract during the month of February 2024. So you're multiply that times 12 and you're at 48 million basically per year on it. The big question that I have is obviously how profitable is this, right? If you're getting 4 million a month and it's costing you 3.5 million to operate through the third party that they're using, well, you're still making 500,000 on it. It's pretty much no cost to you really at that point. But we'll see what they actually report on that when they do report their quarterly results for Q1, and we'll take a look at how that all plays out. Okay, let's get into BitDigital here on the numbers for them, and then we'll get into the next two, and we'll get into Q&As afterwards. So BitDigital has 90.7 million shares outstanding. Market cap is at 213 million. Stock price 235. The performance of the last 12 weeks has been not great. They're down 15% from 12 weeks ago. They're down 7% from 8 weeks ago. From 4 weeks ago, they're down almost 11%. Then last week, they were actually up 1.12%. Their current hash rate 2.7, future hash rate 2.8, you could say. So they have a little bit of hash rate left. I know that they want to grow, but they haven't bought anything yet to get them there. HODL 847 Bitcoin, and then that's 54 million in value right now. That's 25% of their market cap right now. BTC production, you can see, has peaked in December, fell obviously through January and February. Month over month BTC numbers there. BTC HODL has been increasing here, which is good as you're getting to the halving event, obviously. BTC per exahash efficiency at 47.14, still very efficient. BTC sold, how much they've been selling, so very little here. They've been selling less and less each month. And then hash rate and revenue here, 2.7. That has been growing also throughout the year, which is good. We were kind of in a downward trend in the beginning of last year through May, and then it kind of picked up here towards the middle of the year and back up. So that's good there. Monthly Bitcoin revenue peaked in December with 7.2 million, and then we were down a little bit here in January, and then we're back up in February as obviously Bitcoin price has gone up. So that's been helping them out. Month over month hash rate difference here, BTC sold value, how much they're selling. Going down here, analysts. So institutions and analysts. Institutions actually increased to 160, which is good to see. And then that's 46 million now held by institutions compared to 36, 51%, right? We're seeing a lot of companies where they're getting close to like 50% or over 50% being owned by institutions. That's starting to get a little concerning because once they start dumping, man, it's going to be painful possibly. So hopefully they hold on until we get to all-time highs. But we still have one strong buy rating, 2 buy ratings, 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sells. High price is still the same, 770, average is 573, and the low is 450 on them. Okay, as far as machines here for the month of February, we did include some machines here to get them to the 2.7 exahash here. We added these 120 terahash miners and 111 miners here as well that they had purchased prior. That got us to where we needed to be, and they were operating for about 27.6 days during the month. The miners that were just installed, I have those operating at 20 days on average. Seems to work out pretty well for that. And that's how we added also 359,000 for the Bitcoin transaction fees. They got us to the 6.418 million in revenue based on the average Bitcoin price here in February. And that coincides here. Okay, so going back up here, if we use the current month revenue, multiply it as the 1 month before the halving event, and then the next 11 months after the halving event at 50%, I have in between $2.30 to $3.45. They're at $2.35. That kind of makes me think they're kind of evenly valued, but obviously we don't know what the revenue is going to be like or the profit is going to be on the AI stuff. So once we get data on that, we'll update that. And then right now, looking back at the 3 quarters in the current quarter that we're in, I'm in between $3.20 to $4.80 at a PE or a PS of 10. That would give us that they are undervalued right now, which I would agree, right? Healthy balance sheet, everything else is good. They're supposed to be growing. Their growth right now, their target is up there, right? I think they want to get to like 6x or something like that, but they haven't purchased anything yet. So we'll have to see when they do purchase it. Maybe then at that point we can raise their PE up because analysts are thinking $7. I'm at $4.80. So maybe analysts are using a little bit higher PE or PS ratio, and that would be like 15 potentially instead of the 10. Right, which might be the case here. Might not be a bad spot to leave them at because of the AI stuff and other things, okay? So that's it for Bit Digital here. We'll leave that one, and let's get into the next story. Next one is Hive here. So Hive Digital announces Bitcoin production and HODL growth in February 2024. Here's the highlights. So production, Hive successfully buying 200 Bitcoin in February 2024, utilizing its state-of-the-art ASIC and GPU mining operations. Last month, they reported that they didn't get any Bitcoin from their GPU mining operations, so they didn't break this out even this time around, which is surprising. This achievement represents an impressive average of 60.5 Bitcoin per exahash. I have this in red, and that's because they're using the average hash rate for the month, not the actual hash rate that they have installed and operating. So that's where they're getting that because that's going to be really high for them. I have a much lower number for them with a consistent average hash rate of 4.06 throughout the month, okay? Mining capacity increase. Hive concluded February with 4.2 exahash, so obviously that's higher than the 4.06 average that they're using there. Mining capacity reflecting a notable 9% increase month over month. The company's HODL position at the end of February was 2,131, so that is a nice increase there from the prior month as well. And I think that is it here. Yep, that is it as far as the details, what I wanted to highlight. And let's take a look at Hive here really quick. So Hive, you guys might see a little bit of a different format here a little bit. Trying to condense some of the information here, make it a little bit more easily readable. So we'll get into some of the things that I changed here. You guys let me know if you like it or if you don't like it. But we'll go from there, I guess. Okay, so Hive Digital has 88.2 million shares out, stock price $3.45, market cap 304 million right now. Performance over the last 12 weeks has been okay. It's just been okay. It hasn't been great. It's kind of on the down. Compared to other miners, it's on low end, I guess you could say. Okay, but it's still up. 12 weeks ago, they're up 5%. 8 weeks, they're up almost 7%. 4 weeks, they're up 7% again. Last week, they're up only 1.3%, okay? Current hash rate, 4.2. Future hash rate, about 5.6 exahash. So they still have some growth left in them. HODL, 2,131 Bitcoin. That's valued at 136 million right now as of the current Bitcoin price, more or less, for the month of March here, average price. BTC production. So here's where the changes came in. I combined the 2 charts that I had for BTC production and month over month difference BTC mine so that way you can see what the hash rate or BTC production has been month over month, but you can also see what the difference has been from one month to the other, right? If you guys like that, let me leave a comment down below, and that way it's all in one chart here so you can see that they actually peaked here in May, which obviously May had a lot of transaction fees being added to it. They were at 304. And then the next best number was in actually September, surprisingly not December, where a lot of the miners we saw have huge gains in Bitcoin production because of the network transaction fees being added at that time. Then they've been coming down here, 234 in January, 200 in February. So obviously we saw a decrease of 48 and a decrease of 34 month over month at that point. Okay, monthly mining revenue here peaked in December 12, which is still surprising, obviously because it's been going up. So that's why. January came down to 10. February is down a little bit more here to 9.9. Obviously, Bitcoin mined has been coming down, so that's the reason for it, even though Bitcoin price has been going up. That is the reason. Bitcoin HODL has, well, the beginning of the year was coming down from last year through all the way through November. At least looks like that's where they kind of bottomed out at 1,627 Bitcoin. And since then, they have been increasing their HODL more and more, which is good to see as well. Okay, going down here, total petahash, what they have installed here. And then we also included the hash rate growth month over month. So that's being accounted here for as well. So they peaked at 4.1, almost 4.2 exahash here in November. They're back up to it here. They went down through December and January. They were getting rid of some of the older miners they had, swapping those out for newer, more efficient miners as well. And then you can see the month over month down below here as far as what that has changed like for them. Okay. And then monthly BTC sold here, how much they've been selling. They've been selling very, very little here in the last 2 months, if any. And then BTC per exahash efficiency, right? They stated that they were at 60 BTC per exahash. I'm at 47, which is still really good. We're still high up there. BTC sold value, okay. Other metrics, those are the quarterly metrics. And then institutions here. Institutions increased for them as well, right? 125 now from 109. Shares also increased. That should have been probably 20, should have been another zero in there. See, I caught that mistake. There we go. So that should have been 26 million now shares owned by institutions, 26%. We still have only 2 buy ratings, 1 hold rating, and price target actually went down a little bit for the high. 665 for the high from 674 average. Came down also to 538 from 541, and the low stayed the same at 350. Okay. Now, as far as miners here for the month of February, we did install some miners. We installed about 2,575 of these 136 terahash miners. These are the S19K Pros. They got us an additional 350 petahash. That came out to be 4.2 exahash is what they have. We added 558,000 in Bitcoin transaction fees for them in the month, and they were operating for 27.97 days out of the month. They're in Canada mostly, and in Europe as well, northern countries up there. Can't remember exactly the names. I don't know if they're still in Iceland or Greenland. Can't remember. But they might have curtailed it a little bit, which is fine. Otherwise, they're still very, very efficient as far as operations are concerned. Okay, based on that, if we look at the revenue from February numbers, multiply it times the 1 month before having, 11 months after having at 50%, I have it between $3.67 to $5.51. They would still be undervalued here based on where they are right now. If we use the last 3 quarters numbers and the current quarter number, I'm at $6.16 to $9.25 with a P of 10 or a PS of 10. However you want to look at it. So they are still currently undervalued based on that information, right? And Bitcoin continues to go up higher. They could obviously catch more. If they grow some more, they could obviously catch some more as that. And then depending on how their AI business does and how profitable that is, they could also have a nice boost for them as well. Okay, so that is it for them. They are obviously just trying to maintain 1% of the Bitcoin network hash rate. That's their goal that they've pretty much stated that they want to do, which is fine. So they're just going to go, they're going to grow pretty much to stay at 1% of the Bitcoin network hash rate. Okay, which is fine. But they're obviously not looking to be like within the top 5 or top 7 like that. They're happy with where they are, and they're obviously efficient at it, and they do a really good job at it, so I think that's okay. But let me know what you guys think on that one. Okay, next here, last one is going to be Iris. Gosh, I keep saying Iris. Force of habit. Iren announced his monthly investor update for February 2024, and here's what we got on them. I'm going to be pretty short and sweet here too. So they mined 310 Bitcoin mined in February. Record operating hash rate was 7 exahash. So they installed some machines there. They're planning to get to 20 exahash by 2024. They haven't bought those machines yet. We'll take a look at it. I don't think they've bought those machines yet to get to that point. Bitcoin mined 310. Electricity cost per Bitcoin has increased here. You can see January was 18.7 thousand. February looks like 20,000. Obviously, their hash rate grew a little bit here. 5.6 average operating hash rate, 2.3 or 6.3. That's a substantial increase. That might be the reason why we saw the increase there as well. Let me see if there's anything else in here. I don't think there is. that I want to do. You guys can read all the stuff. They provide a lot of information here, and a lot of the stuff is the same from previous updates. So we're not going to go really over that. You guys are more than welcome to take a look at it. Okay. Here's the numbers that I have for Iris Energy here. So Iris Energy has 104 million shares outstanding. Stock price for $5.40. Market cap 561 million right now. Excuse me. Their performance over the last 12 weeks has also been kind of mixed and kind of on a downside compared to other miners. 12 weeks ago, they're down 0.3%. From 8 weeks ago, they're up 16%. From 4 weeks, they're up 0.8%. Last week, they were up down actually 3%. Okay, and the reason for that is I think it's because they don't hodl, and maybe because they don't also provide quarterly results. So I think there's always a lag in information from them. I think if they started providing those quarterly results, I think that would help investors see how they're progressing, how dilution's happening, and all that stuff. That would be a lot better for them. And other than that, their growth looks good. Their hash rate right now is good. Their future hash rate, okay, so they're only, right now I'm at possibly getting to 10.9 or 11 exahash. They might be getting rid of some older machines. Maybe they'll get to 10, but I think their goal is to get to 20 exahash this year. Okay, hodl, obviously no hodl there. BTC production here has, their best month was May of last year. Obviously, Bitcoin transaction fees added a lot to that. December was an improvement over November, obviously 399, but it's still not as much as we would have liked to have seen. And then January has been coming down 341, 310. So they're not keeping up with the network hash rate. They need to install more miners faster if they can. Month over month difference here, BTC hodl is 0, BTC per exahash efficiency 44. So kind of on the average side of things here, looks like for the month of February compared to some of the other miners, which is still pretty good. BTC sold, they sell everything. Hash rate, as you can see here, they were kind of flat for a majority of the year, from 5.5 to 5.6 roughly, 5.7. So they've been kind of growing about 100 petahash every couple months or so. And then recently in January, they went up about 500 petahash. And then in February, they increased by about 800 petahash. So a nice increase there. Bitcoin revenue value, best month for them was in December, 16.9, almost 17 million estimated right now. January was 14.6, and February came to 15.4. That's based on obviously Bitcoin price going up in, in value as well. Okay, hash rate difference, BTC sold value, how much they've been selling. Going down here to institutions, institutions also increased for them. So now they're at 87 institutions with 23 million shares. That's 36.7% of the company there. And they have how many shares there? 104. 104. And oops, went too far. 36.23. So that'd be pretty close to that, right? If you multiply that times 3, you're only that doesn't make sense. That number doesn't make sense. So I don't think they're using the most accurate data on for that one. Let's see here. Right? Yeah. Okay. We still have 1 strong buy rating, 6 buy ratings, 0 holds, 0 underperforms, 0 sells. Price target stayed the same for the high 1850. Average went up to 1125, and the low went up to $9. So an increase there, right? As I continue to say, we're seeing more and more institutions buying into the miners, which is good, obviously. But we're not seeing, obviously, the huge gains that we saw just a week ago or so in the miners. And it just could be people taking profits, things like that. But as long as institutions keep the money in there and keep the stocks for at least another 6 to 12 months or something like that, we should do really well, because there's going to be obviously not a lot of shares trading at that point. Okay. Going down here, as far as what did we do for them for the month of February, we installed about 4,000 of these 200 terahash miners, the S21s. That got us to the 7 exahash that they reported, and those were mining for about 20 days. The rest of the miners were running for about 26 days. So they curtailed for about 3 days, it looks like on average, unless those machines were plugged in for less days. It's on average, so it's the best I could come up with. Excuse me. And then we added 865,000 to their Bitcoin transaction fees for the month. Okay. So that's how that all worked out. Going up here again, 1 month before the halving, 11 months after the halving, I'm in between $9.66 to $14.49. They're at $5.40. They're definitely undervalued. Okay. PE, if we look at the last 3 quarters plus the current quarter that we're in, which is estimated, where you have them at $15.38 to $23.07, definitely way undervalued here based on that information. And then let me see here. I just want to double check that I have the right numbers for their 104 million shares outstanding that they last reported. Okay. So we have that. Their balance sheet looks good. Total current assets, 109 million. Total current liabilities, 32 million as of the end of December. Right. We'll have to see how that looks if they report quarterly results. Otherwise, we'll have to wait until sometime in gosh, that was going to be probably July, maybe August, by the time we get some more updates from them, which would be terrible. That's why I say it would be nice for them to update us more regularly, quarterly. Please do that, because obviously it's having an impact on the stock, right? Them not hodling and reporting every 6 months is having an impact on the stock. So if all things were equal, it should be much higher. And maybe they'll change their mind on keeping a hodl or something like that. But that's it. Otherwise, they're been growing nicely here, relatively. They've been kind of flat, like I said, but growing here. Good growth plans going forward into this year. 20 exahash would be nice for them to reach. So that's why I'm still kind of bullish on them. And by my estimates, they're still undervalued here. I mean, even the analysts have them at $18 and, for the low of $9. So they're still way under. Okay. So that is it. Okay. As always, spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. Link is down in the description for that. That's $8 a month. You might still find a spot that's $5 or $4 a month in that. And if you pay for the annual subscription, you get 10% discount on it. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. That's my sales pitch for the day. And let's get into Q&A. So if you guys have questions, put them in capital letters or have a big question in the beginning, and then I'll get to all your guys' stuff there. And we'll try to get through as many as we can with maybe 10, 15 minutes or so. We'll try to keep it kind of quick today. Like I said, my wife is not feeling well, so I got to get her some meds. All right, so here we go. Question time. Q&A. Let me pull it up over here so I can see what's going on. Okay. Let's see. Trying to see what you guys have. Any questions? I see questions coming in. Okay. Question. Here we go. Perfect. Kay asks, Seb, what about Bitfarms? Any good updates? What is your opinion on tomorrow's earnings release? I think, Bitfarms is my number 2 position that I have in stocks, right? Cleanspark's number 1, Bitfarms number 2, Iris Energy is number 3 right now. So with their earnings tomorrow, I think they're going to have a probably negative EPS. But if they went really lean in Q4, maybe they'll have a positive EPS for that, but they would have to get pretty lean on that. Because of just what I saw there. And then if you don't include dilution, what's the one? Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the word right now. It's, geez, I'd have to look at, but the one where they basically write off their miners and things like that. Depreciation. Oh, geez, there it goes. If you don't include depreciation, that would be, I believe, probably EPS positive. Okay. Depreciation to me is a non-cash expense. Let's see here. Sparkling asks, can you explain the tranche warrants that shareholders received after CORZ came out of bankruptcy? I'm still trying to learn that stuff out myself. That stuff is beyond me as far as the warrants are concerned. When do those actually transfer over? When does all that stuff happen? That's like voodoo magic there. I don't know why they went with the warrants. I guess it's advantageous to them. My dad has them too, right? He owns CORZ. He got a bunch of those as well. And he's just holding on to them right now. So let me see if I can find some information on that. Maybe I can find somebody on Twitter that has more information on how those all actually work. And then once I get the information, I'll bring it up to you guys here. Let's see. I think this is a question. First of all, thank you for all your meticulous work. Based on BTC at 100K, do you see Marathon at 83? So that would be it'd be less than 2x for them. Bitcoin goes up 2x. If the miners go up at least 5x, Marathon's at what, 20 some odd dollars? Maybe, yeah, it might work. Cleanspark at 42. Cleanspark is at what, $17 right now. 5x from that would be 80 something like that also, right? My math, just doing math here in my head. So we might be close to that. Bitfarms at 5x, yeah, I mean, it'd be probably at $10 at that point. But we're still looking to see where things go, right? If Bitcoin goes past 100,000, 150, 200,000, we might be even higher on all of those guys. So we'll have to see. Thoughts on Marathon? Marathon is obviously the monster in the room, right? They have the biggest hash rate. They're growing. Everything else, just their operations are terrible. And mainly because of, before they bought the 2 facilities, everything was hosted for them. But now that they're buying those facilities, I would expect that uptime to improve. But we'll see, right? Other than that, they're doing really good. Healthy balance sheet, no worries there. They're going to probably buy miners out or buy some facilities when the halving happens. So they're going to continue to grow as well. But their operations are pretty bad. At least the last 2 months have been pretty bad. December was fantastic for them. If they had every month like December, that would have been great. Let's see. When am I releasing Sebastian on mining hats? Good question. Probably never. I don't want to get into merchandise. I don't have the time for it, guys. I work all day. Well, I have a full-time job, and then I do this stuff in my spare time, and I try to keep you guys informed of what's going on. I don't have the time for it. Let's see here. Plus, who would want to buy those? Let's see here. Question: Bitfarms announces in the AM. Would you think they move earnings up in 3 weeks if it's bad news? Wouldn't they? Wouldn't think they move earnings up 3 weeks if bad news. Okay, so you're thinking if it's bad news, they would move the earnings up or over next week? I don't know. I figure just rip the band-aid off, get it done over with, and we'll see how they do. Might be actually pretty good, right? Depending on what they're able to do. But because I don't think they can use the FASB rules, but we'll see, right? I don't believe Hive was able to use those, and Hive is in Canada as well. So I don't think they're going to be able to use those. If they were able to use those, they would be probably EPS positive at that point. Let's see here. $80 share price, Cleanspark, realistic or not? I mean, Cleanspark's at $17 right now. If you think Bitcoin's going to go to, let's just say, 150,000, that's almost like 3x from here. It's 60,000, so let's just say 180,000. Say Bitcoin goes 180, which is my original target for Bitcoin. That would be 3x for Bitcoin. For Cleanspark, that would be only like 5x to get to 80, right? I think it's doable. Unless you dilute like a crap ton, well, in that point, it might need like a 6x to get there, but we'll see. Price targets for Bitfarms. My price targets over this coming bull run, potentially between like $20 and $30 if things go well. But if they dilute like crazy again, it might be lower than that. It all depends on how much they dilute. Question: who do you like that is not diluting? Good question. Who's not really diluting? I think DMG's not really diluting that much. Digihost. Who else? Hive also hasn't been diluting that much recently. I think those are the only ones that we'll take a look at dilution here, and once all the miners report their quarterly results. But right now, those are, I think, the ones that at the top of my head I can think of at least. Question: how do we know markets will trade at the P multiples that you have, 10, 15, 20 post-halving? Have these multiples been this high historically for miners? They've been actually higher. So my numbers are conservative for them. We've seen 35, 40. We've seen even cases of 45 for some miners. Marathon, I think, got like 40, 45, something like that last cycle. So I'm using kind of conservative numbers at least right now. Okay. Question, already answered that one. See what else we have here. Covered that one already. You guys are asking the same questions. Yeah, my questions are a little bit delayed here. Thoughts on why Mara lagged today? I don't know if it's just them, their production issues might be the reason why. Cleanspark to 100 facts. Could happen. I'm not saying it's out of the question. My original price target for Cleanspark was $70. That's your question. Why is Riot showing poor performance? Is it management's fault? I just hope new mining site starts operating quickly. So if you guys haven't watched the video with Bryce McNally and Anthony Power, they did an interview with Jason Less from Riot yesterday, I think it was, or the day before. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday. Actually, a really good interview. And Jason owned up to some of the things that are happening with the operations there. Go check it out. It gives you all the details I think you need to know. But basically, in a nutshell, it was they have issues with some of the miners that they have at those facilities at Rockdale. They're hoping with the new facility, they're going to be able to grow their hash rate, have more access to electricity as well. It's all going to be emergent at that new facility as well. And they're also buying new miners to replace some of the miners that are having issues with. So hopefully with those things all being worked out, maybe they can mine some better at that point. Let's see. Looking to see if you have any other questions. Okay, here we go. Question on Datarama, you can see insiders, buyers, and sellers. You can see that on the site that the heads of Mara, Riot, and Cleanspark sold off their shares right before the plunge. Manipulation on purpose. That could be taken, profit taken. Some of these guys have been sold in a long time unless they have to pay for taxes and things like that. I'm okay with it. You know, some of these guys have been doing it for 3, 4, 5 years. They haven't really taken anything out of it. We've seen Bitcoin kind of go up. Might as well take some profits. I'm okay with it. As long as they don't do it like every month they're selling shares. If they're selling shares every single month, I'm going to start getting concerned. Or if they start selling a large portion of it. They sold a very, very small portion of their shares that they do have. Let's see. Okay, question. Announcement yesterday, CORZ will release full fiscal year 2023 earnings next week on March 12th. Do you think they will report positive earnings? Well, I don't, they were still in bankruptcy at that point for the end of Q4. They didn't get out of bankruptcy until Q1. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that comes out and whether or not they take advantage of the new FASB rules. Plus, I don't think they hodl anything Bitcoin. I mean, looking at the numbers from in January and February, it looks like they might be hodling something. But they're not reporting it. So I don't know if they're using it to pay down other things, debt, or buy miners or something like that. I don't know what's going on there. Question, why is Riot going down even when every miner was up green today? Because their operations, right? Their operations have been horrendous for the past year pretty much. So they have been nowhere near where we would expect them to be as far as production in Bitcoin. They're also curtailing a heck of a lot more than they really should be. So there's just a lot of stuff going on there. They need to work that out, get that resolved, and I think at that point the cycle will probably pop. But they've been probably also diluting too. Let's see here. Question. So if Wolf used 20 million to pay down debt, they'd be at 56 million, but this excludes excess cash flow sweep payments for Q2, Q4. How much can we expect their excess cash sweep payments to be? Well, we'll have to figure that out, see what that is, right? They have joint venture facilities also that they get Bitcoin from, which they can use obviously to pay some of the stuff down. But with the halving event, it's going to get cut in half. So Bitcoin continues going up, may offset that obviously. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be tight, but I believe they will be fine in the halving. I don't have any worries for them. I think the debt that they do have on the books right now is dragging them a little bit. Let's see here. Should I convert my ARBKF OTC to ARBK? I don't know if there's any difference in the two, other than maybe stock price and where they're being traded at. I'll tell you honestly, I don't know if Argo is going to make it after the halving. Unless Bitcoin's like at 80, 90,000 or something like that, they might be in trouble. They just sold a facility yesterday. So I don't know how they're going to be able to survive, but that's just my thoughts on it. We'll get some more information on them when they report the quarterly results. Is Mara invested in any AI projects using GPUs? No. I think Fred even has said that this is kind of like a gimmick right now for some of the miners, but we'll see. Looking for another question. Okay, here's one. What usually happens to the miners after the halving historically? Last cycle, we had the miners going down into the halving a year prior, and then they kind of flatlined a little bit, maybe went down a little bit after the halving, and then took about 2 months after that, they really started to pump along with Bitcoin was starting to pump. This cycle is completely different. The miners were actually going up a year prior to the halving, with the spot Bitcoin ETF going up and everything else. So it's a different type of cycle that we had from last time. It's hard to tell what's going to happen, really. I think it all depends on Bitcoin. Bitcoin continues to go up. The miners will probably go up as well. Iren, thank you. Yeah, we'll see what she's got. I think she's just got a bug or she had food poisoning or something. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go get her some Pepto-Bismol, see how she does tomorrow. Let's see here. Will Bitcoin hit all-time high this week? Will BTC hit 100K before halving? 100,000 might be tough. That's still a ways out. 30,000 away. That's not. I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, we could do that probably in 3 days if we wanted to. But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be able to hit 100,000. I think we might hit an all-time high. Would be above 69,300 something. Right? Might happen. We have 2 more days. It's possible. I mean, anything's possible with Bitcoin. Let's see here. Now, I'm trying to catch up with some of the questions. Question. Okay, here we go. If you had 250,000 right now to invest into one miner and one miner only at current price levels, which one would it be and why? You have to hold for 1 year before you sell? Oh, wow. Tough question on that one. Okay. At the prices that we're at right now with the miners, oh boy, that'd be a tough one. You're putting me on the spot here. I'll give you three. And the reasons for them is I think they're currently undervalued from where they should be. So you got CORZ potentially, right? And then you got also Iris Energy in there, Bitfarms. And I'll probably give you a couple more other ones. But a single one, I would never put in $250,000 into a single one anyways. But I would probably space it out between a couple because you just don't know which one's going to go up much higher. Even though, like I'm saying, CORZ, Bitfarms, and Iris Energy, you got possibly Cypher in there as well. And Wolf, if they do really well, right? You just don't know which one's going to really pop, right? Where is the investor sentiment going to go into and drive those stocks up? We've seen it before. We've seen it with Marathon pumping and coming back down. We've seen it with Cleanspark pumping and coming back down. So it's tough. I wouldn't put everything into one basket. I'll just leave it at that. And then let's see what else do I have here. Okay. All right, I think we're done here, guys. I think we've covered it and answered all your guys' questions. Next Q&A is going to be on Saturday. We'll try to do that one in the afternoon. We'll do a live stream then. And then I'm joining the Bitcoin mining stock guy on Twitter Spaces at, I think it's 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see if we can get some guests on as well. We had a fun time last time. On Sunday, we had like 4,000 some people tune in for that. That was fun. We had also, oh gosh, Matt from Cleanspark join us on that one. So we'll see what we can get this week as well. We'll obviously talk about the miners and things like that. And I see you got one more question here. Question, does Mara or Riot buy out the smaller ones with 1 billion cash? I mean, smaller ones are small for a reason, right? The ones that may not survive, you're looking at like Argo, Cypher, which don't own facilities. They host pretty much. Argo has like one facility left, I think. But Cypher doesn't have any facilities, so there's not really there much to buy except for older machines. So we really don't want to do that. You got possibly Mawson being in trouble, right? So that one has facilities, but that one has also debt. So are you also buying the debt there? And then what does that all add up to? I think miners would be looking more to buy the facilities, not the whole companies in total. That's kind of the way I would look at it. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, one more question and we'll call it a day. Question, is it ideal to hold onto miners that have debt, such as Wolf? They have been paying off their debt monthly. Do you see yourself obtaining them soon as they are transparent and consistency? I like Wolf a lot, but the debt is obviously a deal breaker for me because we don't know how things are going to work out after the halving. Bitcoin could go down, right, for a couple months and then finally rocket. At that point, it's going to be very tough for them to stay in business at that point. I mean, obviously they can dilute and things like that. So I think they'll be okay. But for that reason, I'm not into Wolf right now. If they got rid of the debt, it'd be a different story at that point. Other miners also have a little debt. So obviously debt to me is a big thing, right? I don't want to be holding somebody else's bags. No. Okay, we'll call it a day, guys, here. Thanks so much for coming in to watch this. Really appreciate you all. We'll see what happens tomorrow, which is Thursday and Friday. And then, like I said, we'll do another live stream on Saturday, probably in the afternoon. And we'll see where things go from there. Okay, so that's it. Thank you again. See you in the next one. Until then,